for spring here. These guys are out for all of spring. John Akiba, Dion Bailey, Gerald Bowman, Jeff Miller, Scott Starr, Taylor Ross are all out for spring. The next 3 guys are out right now, but anticipated to be back at some point in spring. J.R. Tavai, Cody Temple, Greg Townsend. Anybody else is just day-to-day stuff, really little stuff. Those are the bigger ones for spring. I thought our coaches for day 1 did a really good job, basically only having a week of these guys being here to prepare for today. I thought they came out with great energy. The players really responded well to them. And it was a very spirited practice. The mid-years fit right in, and I think it seemed to me like they've done a lot of work on their own with our players, coaching our players, because for a new scheme on defense and wrinkles on offense, I thought they did a really good job.
You promoted Clay Helton to offensive coordinator last season. Who is going to call plays next season? Has that been determined?
It has not. Really, we're focused on what's going to get us better right now, and we're not worrying about next fall. So our total focus has been on our players and our coaches right now for this spring, getting better, and whether that's finding ways to move people at different positions, and our focus on things like getting Jabari Ruffin to see if he can be a great pass rusher or make plays like he did today as a drop defensive end. So our focus has been on our players and our stuff right now, and we're not worried about any of this stuff.
What do you think you can take away from the first day of spring practice?
I think we can take away that our guys came out with really good energy. But I think that's usually the case. Everyone's excited after day 1 and no pads and people look good. But from a day 1 scheme standpoint, comparable to, our first spring here, there's a lot of difference.
It seemed like you weren't in the huddles as much. Is that fair to say?
I don't know necessarily. It's day 1 install, so it's stuff that we know inside and out, and with a lot of returning guys. It's not like it's fall camp where you have a lot of young guys to move around and have to line up. And so I thought our guys did a pretty good job of knowing what to do.
All the team captains from last year are gone. Did you feel a difference in the atmosphere out here in terms of leadership?
Not really. It's one practice. I don't think you can get to that point and figure that out. And it's easy right now. It's fun. No pads are on. It's spring. It was cool out. First day, everybody's going to be energetic. Everybody's going to act like a leader. This isn't when leadership really shows up. It shows up when you get in really tough times. You lose a couple games. You're out here, on a Wednesday practice. So, like I said, today would be easy, and you wouldn't be able to tell that.
How did you think the quarterbacks, each one of them, looked today?
Well, unfortunately, we had quarterback center issues, which is very normal on day 1. But I thought, they did some good things. I thought, until the interception where Jabari made the great play on Cody, Cody was headed to be the MVP of the day. And so, unfortunately, I couldn't make him the MVP when he threw an interception, but that was really a great play by Jabari. So I thought all 3 guys commanded the huddle really well for day 1, and I thought Cody really shined and made a lot of plays that were out of rhythm.
How about Max for a first, go around?
What you'd expect, did some good things, handled the huddle better than most kids normally would, but obviously you're going to make some mistakes and all the pressure of being out here, but he is very unique of being able to handle the huddle and handle all the stuff, and we've seen that whether it was at the signing day banquet where we had him speak at it, and how he handled himself like he'd been here for 5 years, so he's very unique from that standpoint.
Will you have starting our number 1 quarterback by the end of spring? Is that for sure, or how do you see that unfolding?
I do not know. There's no time frame on that. We got to find the right guy, and when we find that out, when it shows itself, then we'll decide. But there is no time frame on that at all.
What are your concerns, things you hope to have maybe ironed out by the time spring ends?
Well, I think the new defense and moving people around, even though Dion's not going to be here to figure out where he's going to be because we don't know that, where he's going to fit in this defense, just to see everybody in the new spots. And it's a very different defense, and guys are going to have very different roles. And just to see guys standing up on the edge, it is very new. So to figure that out, obviously, basically a brand new secondary, except for Josh Up moving spots. But from a returning starter standpoint, you have new spots. There'll be 4 new people, and figure out the quarterback.
You have some guys that are no longer with the program. Can you tell us each one what their situation was? Christian Hayward.
Yeah, Christian Hayward has not been here all semester. He left before the semester started. Made a decision, to just wasn't the place for him, and obviously that happens sometimes. Christian Thomas is on his way to being medicaled from all the surgeries. I think that's pretty much done. And Devontae Wilson has not been with our program. Same type thing, just made a decision to go a different direction after this semester. And Junior Palme is not part of our football program, but his stuff is still pending.
You brought up the secondary, with 3 starters gone last year. I was wondering how you'd evaluate the unit and what you've seen from the freshmen in like the off-season stuff and from today.
Well, unfortunately, I don't get to watch any of the football off-season stuff they do, just some movement stuff and drill work. It's a very talented group of 3 mid-years coming in, that obviously were really good high school players. Even though we'll have 4 new starters at those spots, there is some good experience, with guys like Demetrius, guys like Torrin Harris, guys like Anthony Brown, who was starting at one point before he got hurt. So there is some experience back there, and I think they're really excited about the new system. They're excited about Clancy, and it was good. I had researched how he coached, obviously, in the interview process, but then to see it on the field today, I was very excited. He was very demanding, very tough on him, and really got after him.
What do you need more from like the DBs in Clancy's scheme versus your dad's scheme?
Well, I think whether it's scheme or not, as we look back at the season, third downs, both sides of the ball, but third down stops, way too many third down conversions against us, defensively speaking. I thought we did make some plays on the ball last year, had more interceptions than normal back there, but just not enough plays on the ball, where we're making plays to stop drives.
You talked at the end of the season about evaluating everything and kind of doing things differently. It seemed like today you were hitting most position groups. I don't know if you were doing it more than you had in the past, but that seemed to be the case. Is that true, or were you making an effort to do more of that today, or?
You haven't been in practice for a year.
That's a good point.
For a long time.
That's a good point. Is that any different?
Good to have you back, though.
Is that any different than you have been?
I did that most of bowl practice and stuff, and just really, as things slow down in the spring. I do more of that in the spring anyway, and just especially today, with the new coaches on the defense, just really getting a feel for their style and seeing them, and really evaluating what we're doing.
How much effort is there to play at a really higher tempo in practice today? Was that just first day, or is that kind of the way it's going to be?
Well, we'd like to practice that way all the time, and that's the challenge. Day one seems to always be great, and everyone's all excited, and everybody looks great. But to maintain those standards of practice, and I don't think that we did that, at the end of last year. So we always start well, but the challenge is to maintain that as coaches and down to the players.
There was a story that came out during the combine, basically saying that Barkley's high interceptions were a result of the coaching staff. What was your response to that?
Sure. Yeah. Anytime that interceptions go up like that, you got to look at yourself as the head coach and play caller, and find ways to do things better. And like I've said all along, Matt was a product of things out of his control. Some screw ups. With some things on routes and stuff like that where the numbers were the way they were. And sometimes those are always going to happen, but a lot of times the ball just gets tipped, and unfortunately those turn into interceptions. And like I've said, in his career, he was a product of a much different defense than the other Heisman quarterbacks here. And he'll be a great starting quarterback in the NFL.
Since you've been here, the transformation, moving guys like Deion from safety to a linebacker, and scoring quicker, it seems like that may be the opposite now, having 5 down linemen, so to speak. Is that safe to say?
No, I don't think so. Because you're looking at guys that were linebackers that are going to play outside linebackers / defensive end. So you still got to have speed. That's what this conference is. You can't get too big. We've seen that in our first year and a half of being too big, and so we've still got to recruit speed and recruit guys that can really cover sideline to sideline.
You think this new defense kind of fits the recruiting landscape out on the West Coast a little bit better than your old defense?
Maybe. From a standpoint of your bigger dominant defensive linemen, as you study drafts, come from the South. Obviously some guys are out here. We just had one here today from the West Coast, from Oregon. So, but I think there's something to that. You do find more outside linebackers probably out here, and not having to go down south like we had to for Leonard.
How'd that come about, having Sue address your players. And what
Yeah.
did he say?
He did a really good job. He talked about his decision of coming back and staying, and how much fun college is. Same thing that guys always come back and say. All these guys just want to get to the NFL, and the NFL is so great, and they get there to realize how much fun college is and how special it is. And Mike Eckler had coached him at Nebraska, and so he was out here doing a photo shoot. He's in a diving competition, so it'll be interesting to see. So it was good to have him out here.